Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. All right, so pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we got a little bit to do tonight, so we'll start moving on. I hear a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Fine.
You make a motion?
I make a motion to adopt.
Do I hear a second? Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Approval of minutes of 9/25/23.
Motion to approve the minutes, 9/23 with a couple typos.
Correction.
Any other comments or questions by the board?
Thank you, Paul.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Under the road report.
I'll pick up where I left off last time. The new truck, the new tandem has been ordered. Medium duty Freightliner M2106 has been canceled. That's on track. We should see the truck mid-November. Is the approximate time frame on that.
You said 45 days and
45 days.
they're gonna stick to it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's kind of their big thing. You know, they can tell everybody, hey, we can get you a new truck and we can get it outfitted with whatever you need in 45 days and you're good to go.
A new 10-wheeler.
Yep. Absolute spill response has evacuated all of the contaminated soil from the Finel Hollow July incident, so that's no longer within the town. That's completely resolved at this point.
All the hazardous waste.
Correct. Yep. And
How much did they take out?
they came with 3 triaxles,
Yeah.
is what I was told by Absolute Spill Response. So,
So that's 16 yards a piece. 17.
it could vary. I mean, on average, you could
Right.
say 16 to 18 yards per truck. Depends on the dump body. Different
Right.
dump bodies hold a different yardage. So,
Depends on how deep they have to go to. You usually go 3 feet.
well, it was all in a stockpile
Mhm.
from when it was already taken out of the road. It was
Oh, all right.
stored.
Okay.
It was stored somewhere, and storage has been taken care of, so it's completely out of our hands now.
Okay. And we don't get a bill to do that. The state pays.
Pays for the hazardous waste removal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We haven't heard any more.
no, the only time we had in was that you guys helped some of the, I think, didn't you, with some of your equipment?
Yeah, we blocked the road the night that it happened. We went out and closed off the road with some signs and stuff. We brought over a bucket of sand to dam off a waterway, and then we supplied 2 tandems the following day as they dug it off the roadway and contaminated ditch line. And that's about all we've got into it.
That's a big bill that we didn't have to pay.
That's fine.
And mitigation's not cheap,
No.
especially in something like that.
Yeah.
I imagine.
We haven't heard any feedback of anything yet. Not yet.
I talked to the investigator shortly afterwards, and he indicated that not a lot of people were forthcoming to him
About,
if and what and where and when they saw anything.
Was it Clean Harbors that took it away?
No, Fabian.
Must have been.
Absolute Spill Response was in charge of the mitigation, and then they subcontract Fabian
Okay.
to come in with an
Mhm.
excavator and their triaxles or whatever equipment they deem necessary.
Take it out.
And then the guy from Absolute Spill Response basically walked around as they were digging and said, no, he tested.
Mhm.
He tested as they dug, and when it got to a satisfactory level per Vermont state standards, then they were able to keep moving and go to the next portion until it was all within legal limits.
Good.
As far as the rest of the stuff goes, we've kind of switched up gears as we wanted to. Come October 1st, we want to start prepping for winter and kind of bring our construction season down to a closure. And we've gone through, we've prepped all of our sanders and our dump trucks, and we're looking things over. We're doing our preventative maintenance. And once that's all done and our yard is all set and our garage is all set for winter, then we'll get back out and we're going to cut some brush. We did do some road work on Meslike Drive where we needed to take care of the plow truck turnaround and stuff.
Oh, good.
In conjunction with the landowner. It was very, very nice. And we've got a couple more plow turnarounds to take care of. And basically at that point, hopefully it'll just be cutting brush until snow flies. And
Good. So that's one thing out of the way.
it is.
Turnaround.
Yeah,
That's nice.
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, I'm happy to, whatever. We're also kind of with the prep for winter, just reiterate that we also knock the high crown off of the gravel roads so that, when the roads do start to get slick, you don't have a huge crown, and it gives people a much better chance of staying on the road in inclement weather. So you'll see us out and about with a grader, just kind of roughing the roads up and stuff like that too.
Okay.
Our final grading passes.
Good. Anything else? Does anybody have any questions for Joel?
Are you guys starting back on digging hours yet?
We have not. We were actually hoping that we might be able to do 410s year round. I know people like to have some proof of how that goes, maybe for the sake of is that going to cost the town extra overtime money or not? Well, Vermont Local Roads did a survey early this spring, and they asked all the towns to put their input what they do for hours year round if they do 410s, and then if they go back to 5/8s, and what that does. Well, one town, can't remember the name. I could look it up on email if you want to know. But one town does 410s all year round, and they figured out that it balances out the overtime. It doesn't really cost the town anything more. It doesn't take anything else away. Either way, if something's needed on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday in winter, as we know, we're there to take care of it. We're on call all winter long. So we were actually hoping that maybe.
So you want that to be
consider
a topic of discussion for the board?
Yeah, even if you don't want to decide tonight or whatever.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be tonight anyway, because we'd have to
Has to be
do some
changed.
serious research
Sure.
on that to see.
I'm happy
Okay,
to print out that email to show
Yeah.
you.
And other towns, if other towns do it, I'd like to know what there is
I think
involved.
there was 6 replies to the initial survey, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's take a look at that before
And
we
there was
just go.
one of the 6 did the 410s, and they said in their studies of their course of changing that and doing 410s all year round, they did find that it doesn't cost anything extra. But I'm happy to print that out in an email so you can review it or whatever.
That's in a handbook, that has to be.
We'd have to change it. We'd have to do some other, but we'll have to study it.
Sure.
We'll have to get our ducks in a row.
Yep.
Okay? Anybody else have any questions for Joel?
Thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
All right, community development.
Okay, so I have a sort of a in-progress update of work that I am involved in right now. I am working on the VORAC Economic Impact Assessment with the consultant, who is Camoin Associates out of, I believe it's Saratoga area. There is a survey that has been publicized to the community and through various recreational assets to their user groups as a baseline for that report. We are keeping the survey open until the end of October as a heads up, trying to get more people to respond to it, particularly related to the country club, use of the country club, and Lake St. Catherine State Park. We have about 150 responses to the survey so far, but many more are needed if we can get them. So that is underway. The past few weeks, I have spent some time serving as a liaison for the community to a few different organizations. On October 19th, I was a part of a legislative site visit with the Vermont Trails and Greenways Council, Vermont Mountain Bike Association, and Katrin Maloney, who was there for Porcupine Bikes, Slate Valley Trails, and other outdoor recreation endeavors that she's involved in. We hosted the Rural Caucus here, as well as members, the program manager for VORAC, the Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economy, and a special projects liaison from the Forest Parks and Recreation. So they visited the Slate Valley Trails Fairgrounds Trailhead, and then they went downtown to have a look at some of the economic development that has happened there as a result of the recreation economy. Spent some time on the rail trail too. Last Friday, I attended the Vermont Commission on Women's Public Forum in Rutland. I was invited or given a heads up by Alex Hilliard, who is a commissioner on that board, just to hear more about the Commission on Women and the work that they're doing, and to represent Poultney. I also spent some time as a PDRC member with a community gardening event, which was wonderful. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for being there, and all the other community volunteers that were there. We had about 15 to 20 people, and they were set out to maintain the Stonebridge's rain gardens and some of the other spaces in front of Stonebridge. There's a separate crew that was at Slate Quarry Park, and then there was a separate crew that was on Main Street trying to take care of some of the garden beds that are on Main Street. We do have a new community member, Dave Van Westervelt, who owns the Rustic Rooster that I've met with a couple times, and he has offered to do some volunteer work pruning of the garden beds that are on Main Street and taking care of some of the garden areas and trees that are overgrown at Stonebridge. So that work should be happening in the next week or two. The Stonebridge work was identified when Preservation Trust visited as part of its annual lease agreement, and they met with Paul. They asked us to clear some of the trees away from the building.
We also found
Okay.
a lot of bricks and a lot of nice things that were hidden in the little park area that I donated. So it was well worth it clearing it all up.
Yeah, it was nice to see those uncovered. I have also I made a couple of updates to PoultneyRecreation.com. There is a new fall special event that Cheryl helped to organize that I think it would be helpful to have in the minutes.
I'm just gonna pass it on. You guys can take a look at it. And post it on the places.
Yes, so we could use some publicity around it. It's a self-defense informational seminar that's happening on Thursday, November 9th from 6:15 to 7:30 at the East Poultney Church. Seminars for adults ages 17 plus, and registration is appreciated, but by contacting Cheryl. So this is Terry Bergen, who is providing an overview of self-defense information, and I think there may be some subsequent classes available. So, one other thing that I might mention right now is that the Town to Trails project that we talked about with the select board at the last meeting. There will be a project review happening that Paul and I will be attending with Devin Neary and I think one or two members of the steering committee to this Friday to identify next steps and return to the select board with some preliminary recommendations on how we should go forward with that report. I know I sent it out. I did get an estimate to print it. It's $75 for one print. So I have
to email and read.
Yes, I haven't printed. We had talked about doing one print for the town office, but I haven't done that yet. So I can. And I think that's it for my report. There's a couple of other things that I might weigh in on under the town manager's report.
Okay.
And Joe, we did use the truck for Paul drove it for the dumping all the shrubs and pick up stuff.
So that's why it's broken?
That's why you couldn't figure out how to dump it. It was like.
Just kidding, it's not broken.
No,
It's clarified. It's not actually broken.
You didn't get to drive it, like, how do you dump this thing? There's so many buttons in there. He's like, what?
Sorry.
So thanks for answering for us, yeah.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Sarah?
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. On to the town manager's report.
So the folks at the Poultney Rescue Squad asked to be put on the agenda to give a update, I guess, where they are currently.
So, as you guys asked, you asked for us to do a budget for next year.
Yes, thank you. I was gonna,
So this is
we'll
kind
we'll
of,
be looking for that real
Yep.
quick because we're starting on that.
so
Thank
this
you.
is, I have a couple copies so you can pass them around. Here's the copies. The payroll is projected for next year. The other line items are basically what we pay this year. We can anticipate some increase for next year. The income is based on this year's, pretty much what we got in this year. We're hoping, and also here is our call volume for September. If you need me to explain it, I'll be happy to. It kind of, there's a couple copies.
Or I can look at,
Um,
or you can look at it without, and then you and I can share it here.
So so we figured that for next year, for 2024, unfortunately, the per capita was based, this is all based on increasing per capita again, for obvious reasons, increases in everything. So we figure we're gonna have to go up to, we would like to go up to 42 next year in 2024, and then increase to 44 in 2025
That's $42
per capita.
per capita.
Yeah.
To 44 to 45.
No, 42 in 2024 and 44 in 2025.
And you're at what right now? So everybody knows. We're at, I think we were at 21 or 28, was it?
28, I believe. 28, I believe.
28 is what I thought it was at.
Yeah, I believe the 28. But we also have hired another full-time EMT who just started on the 16th. So we have now currently 3 full-time people, and we have 8 part-time people. So the projected payroll is for 11 people, and it's projected to have 24-hour coverage 7 days a week.
That's 12 people, 24-hour coverage, 7 days a week. That's what you're working towards.
That's what we're working towards. Right now, I think right now our,
Per shift, not 12 people per shift.
no, not 12, it's 12 people total payroll.
Total payroll
Yeah, 2
and
people.
working 24-hour shift. or
Correct.
24 a day. Twenty-four-hour coverage.
Mm-hmm. So we're either doing 12 or 24-hour shifts currently,
You're doing, pardon me,
12-hour shifts or 24-hour shifts. So
right now
somebody,
you're,
yeah. We have a couple that will stay for 36 hours depending on what if they're working someplace else and they have the ability to stay.
okay.
So you're projecting $42 per capita based on the 2020 census, which is 3,020 residents.
Mm-hmm,
You're looking at $126,840.
mm-hmm. The town funding that I have listed in there includes all of our towns that we have.
Is Middletown Springs and Timoth the same per capita, or is that different?
Yes, it will be
Did you say it was 126,000?
for Poultney, yes.
126,840.
And we, right now, Or at what? We are at,
Right now, you had budgeted
Eighty-
42,000 and then allocated 42,000 change from your ARPA funds.
right,
So another 25% increase.
yeah, and the ARPA funds, that was just to cover it last year, to see if you could get the people to help and start rolling.
Mhm.
And that 42,000, we would ask the voters, we would incorporate that into the budget, but that's still, 126,000. And we'd have to, ooh,
It's the first one, this was his total calls.
That's the total number, the total is the total number of calls that we get into Poultney Rescue.
So from 8/29 to 9/3, you had 18 calls. Is that how I read that?
Correct.
Okay. And billed 12. That means 12 people you could bill out of the 18.
Correct.
Okay.
RMA means people that refuse medical assistance. So we may have gone to the call, we may have responded to the call, but once we get there, every person has the right to refuse medical treatment. So once we get there, if they say it may be a lift assist, so they may not want to be transported. So we just go, we lift them up, we put them back into bed, we put them back in their chair. We take their vitals, we check to make sure that they're medically okay to be left, and they sign a paper saying that, no, we don't want to be transported to the hospital.
So what does drop mean? Drop calls. So every 18 calls, it says 6 dropped. What does that mean?
Dropped calls means that we did not have the staff to take the calls. So on that first, right, on that first one, you'll say six, see it says 6 dropped, and then underneath it says 3 second calls, which means we were already responding to a call. So we can't be in 2 places at one time. And then 3 of them, we had no crew. So it might have been during the middle of the night and that was when we were first starting, we were first getting crew, people coming on. And as you can see, our numbers have, our drop call numbers have significantly decreased.
because of the ARPA money we gave you and you
The
can,
staff, our
and
staffing,
your staffing
yeah, our staffing,
increase.
yes.
And that's what we were looking for when we did this, to
Mhm.
see
Mhm.
if it would work, and it is. So what we would have to do, just so you know, when we're budgeting, to get you right now where it's voted on by the taxpayers for 42,000 in the budget.
Mhm.
So we gave you 42,000 of the ARPA money to see if this could roll and work. Looks like it is starting to work.
Mhm.
And you need to get it up to $42 to make it work and sustain. This is what I'm hearing, right? To sustain the level of coverage that we have for a 24-hour coverage, and you would have 12 people on your staff. You might have 2 people per shift, per se, or
Mhm.
whatever you do.
Mhm.
We would have to increase the budget right off the bat. We would have to add on top of the 42,000 now, another $84,840 to get it to that 126,840 into the budget. It's gonna be like a 25 to 30% increase in our budget right off the bat.
So this town funded 162, that, is this just Poultney or all the
No,
towns?
that's all our towns included,
All the towns.
yes.
And I'll hear that a lot of ones had said no crew. Is there a time limit, that time frame where you have no crew?
Mostly nighttime,
So that's at nighttime.
mostly nighttime, because we're just now getting the crews that are gonna be coming on overnight.
Good question. When you say calls into Poultney, if a call goes into 911 and it's Poultney, that call is counted as a call into Poultney.
Yeah,
That's right.
correct. Our coverage area is Poultney, Middletown, and the town edge of 10.
That's what we need to know.
It gets to you, but they're doing that and that's counted as Poultney.
Yeah, they call it, you call it 911, it's then dispatched, it's then transferred to Washington County, or dispatched out.
What to think about.
Yes, that's what we needed to know.
And just so you're aware, I mean, like Fairhaven, they're billing their town $56 per capita.
Yeah,
And it's going up again.
And mine too, that we no longer cover Hampton. We used to get money from Hampton and we no longer cover Hampton.
We can't be first call to New
to
York
New
State,
York State.
to New York State.
Okay, when did that change?
A year ago?
3 years ago, 3 years
Quite a
ago.
while then.
And the
Yeah.
reason, if I may, it's not that we didn't want to cover it.
Yeah, but
It's, it's basically what New York State was, it said that you have to have your own workman's comp account if you're gonna work in New York as a primary.
okay, I see what you're
So we
saying.
had to get New York
It was-
workman's comp in
Yeah,
order for
so
us to
we'd have
go.
to pay for both sides of the border
Yeah.
for primary workman's comp.
And that would increase that 42 probably to 58.
Mhm.
More like another 25, 30 grand.
Yeah,
You know, we already
Because-
pay
Yeah.
$10,000 in workman's comp for Vermont. We'd have to pay another, I think we got a quote for 28,000,
yeah, they would bump that number right on.
For-
Sorry.
20 patients that we would.
It's not that we're not willing to do it. It's
No,
the problem
I
is
understand, it's dollars.
we couldn't produce enough revenue to cover just the insurance.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So, and we don't know what our liability will increase. We never know what the insurances are gonna increase.
No, that's like us when we set our budgets, we never know what the insurance is. They
Mhm.
go up 14% one year and 12% the
Right.
next and whatever they go
You
on.
see what we pay for workman's comp
Yeah.
liability and
Yeah,
10,000. So you're saying that you have everything for the Vermont, for the insurance,
Mhm.
but you go to New York, the insurance doesn't,
If we're doing a second call, if we're called as mutual aid, we are covered. But if we cannot respond as first call, for first call,
A primary
a
agency.
primary agency.
But Granville can come here, first
Yeah.
call,
Yes,
interesting.
isn't it?
Welcome to New York State.
They're commonly the first one here.
And New
oh,
York, I mean, Granville covers Wells, Pollitt, West Pollitt.
If you're so close,
Well,
it makes
actually,
sense. If
I'm
the
sorry.
radius, a close
Grand-
radius.
Granville does have Vermont workman's comp as well.
yeah, they probably established that years ago.
Yeah, they did. It's primary agency.
Okay,
New York
something
always used to let it
close.
fly. Now they do not.
Yeah, that's all dollars.
You're so close, it makes more
Dollars.
sense for Poultney to be there. If it's right in
Mhm.
Hampton, then. it's
Oh, our Hampton patients were quite upset when we had to
too bad.
stop going, so,
This is what we needed.
okay.
Thank you.
Can I- If I may, something
Sure.
for the record. I've heard a lot of conversations. I've heard a lot of discussions that I had people ask me, how can you guys not have any money when you bill $650 for a BLS call or $750 for an ALS call on top of that? I just want, and for the record, I want everybody to understand, if you break your ankle and we bring you to the hospital, and we bill your insurance company, whether it be Medicaid, Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, MVP, we do not get $650.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not even remotely close. If Medicare is usually about 18 cents on the dollar. Medicaid is about 18 to 20 cents on the dollar. Blue Cross Blue Shield is pretty good. They usually give us about 80 cents on the dollar. Cigna's pretty good. MVP, forgive me, sucks. We're lucky if we get 40 cents on the dollar. So that big number does not show exactly where our income
Right.
is coming from.
Is that across the state, pretty much?
Across the country.
But it's all over, okay.
It's across the country.
And insurance companies pay out just so much like you almost get the dividend on the call.
Exactly.
That's what
And
it's.
sometimes, once in a
equates
while, from Medicare at the end of the year, we'll get an extra little bonus saying, okay, we misbilled you and we're gonna give you $4,000 or $5,000. Well, those trucks don't eat for free.
Mhm.
And our insurance sure isn't going down in
Yeah.
cost. So I just want everybody to be aware that
And the majority, excuse me, Mike, majority of our patient care is Medicare, Medicaid patients.
Yeah, my age.
No, you're younger than that.
Thank you for that. That's what we need to know and have to, it needs to be out in the public. Sure,
Okay, if
yeah.
anybody's interested, Vermont Department of Health has a survey out about rural EMS. You can go on WPX's website
Mhm.
and give them your input, what you think, what you think needs to be improved, what the state could help with, anything that you can think of. If they say, throw more money at them, tell them to give us more money, something. But if that survey is out there and Bambi Dame at
What did you say it was on? WCAF?
WCAX has the link.
So I do have a question on your dispatching. Who's doing that for the EMT?
Washington County dispatches for us.
And yeah, that's different than what you guys do. I know you've been talking about that.
Yeah, Washington County does this area, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The fire department, they do.
They do Fairhaven Fire, Middletown Fire.
Well,
Hey, thank you. This is what we've really been looking for, and we needed to get this out so that people understand that when comes budgeting, to get to that point, that's a huge increase in the budget. That just blows it right out of the water, right off the top. But if people understand it,
we do apologize for that, but for the last 4 or 5 years,
we've been trying to bump it up a little.
yeah, I understand that. We want to get our job done without being a huge burden, so we were trying to skate by as much as we possibly can.
And you can't skate anymore.
You can't skate anymore because the insurance coverage is not going up. Our insurance prices are going up. Fuel's going up. Our costs have risen probably about, I'd say in the last 5 years, about 10%, and our revenue has dropped like 14. So
Yeah.
maybe even a little bit more. But we're at the point now where we just can't do this without, forgive me, but being a pain in the ass.
Without substantially increased financial help.
And by all means, I mean, there's other avenues. We don't want to see that happen.
Yeah.
But we're trying to give you the best deal we can and still be able to operate.
That's exactly what we were looking for. Thank you. We'll see about budgeting. That's the next hurdle. And then we'll propose a budget. As we all know, we're going to be starting our budgeting season. And then it goes up to the voters, and the voters do have the final say. And if it's voted down, we got to come back and do some taking out, some cuts, some rearranging, and you know how it works. But thank you. That's what we were looking for. I'm very happy. Thank you. All right. On to PDRC letter. I can't even read it because I don't have my glasses. What's it say?
So,
Okay.
letter of attestation, the Poultney Downtown Revitalization Committee this year is receiving funding through the state of Vermont through their downtown revitalization fund in the amount of $25,000. And they have asked the village board of trustees and the town Selectboard to sign this letter, basically saying, even though they're getting that $25,000, you're not going to stop funding them as you usually do every year through, as the voters do, through the budget. Every year in the budget, there's a line item for PDRC in the amount of $5,000 at the town level. And basically the letter is saying, just because they received this $25,000, you're not going to stop funding that organization.
Right.
So if someone wants to make a motion.
Is that an annual 25 they're giving them, or just a one-time?
I think it's just a one-time.
It's a new program. So hopefully going forward, there will be more funding for downtown organizations, but this is the first year that they've done this.
Okay.
There's a lot of advocacy work. There's been, I think, 2 years that have gone into this, trying to get the funding for downtown organizations from the state.
And we give them 5,000 a year.
Correct.
Okay.
So if someone wants to make a
Make a
motion.
motion
I make a motion, to continue giving them 5,000 and to sign the.
and to sign a letter. Do I hear a second? Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
I would love to hear somebody actually say that word.
What, attestation?
Attestation?
Yes.
attestation.
That's a fancy word.
It's not the fancy word, it's how it's spelled.
Well, it's a fancy word.
People sign.
The next thing I got on here is Sarah has put together, a municipal planning grant application, to, try to get some funding for, the merger study. We've learned that there are some planning grant funds in the state of Vermont specifically for merger studies. So there's a resolution. You know if the match is, if there's a match.
There's a 10% match for municipal planning grant. So I'm still putting the scope of work or the work plan together for the application. And I think we're going to end up in the ballpark of $10,000 to $12,000, $13,000 project. So that would be $1,000 to $200 as a match. The idea and I'm still actually drafting the application, but the idea essentially is that the boards will pull together a committee as was decided at the last town meeting and the last vote of the town and the village residents. And the consultant that we would hire if we were funded this study would serve to organize the boards and to put together an analysis of what that would mean for the town and the village for a merger. So there's a couple different things that I think they would look at. It wouldn't just be financials. It would be the way the municipality would be run. I think that's a very big question.
How it would be governed?
Yes.
Like how many people and.
Exactly. What those roles would be, how you would account for the village's functions in terms of the septic and infrastructure and that type of thing. I should note that municipal planning grant also needs to be signed by the planning commission for a municipality, signed off on. And Jamie Lee and I have had conversations about this application. She wants me to say that she did push back just a little bit on the application because we had initially talked about capital planning, which is a common application for municipal planning grant. But we decided that this is the right approach in addressing the merger first because it would likely inform capital planning, but it would also help to identify where there's gaps or where there's issues between the two municipalities.
So you're not getting the cart before the horse here.
I'm trying not to. So we wouldn't have two capital plans that were then, probably not as efficient or useful if there was one municipality. So Jamie needs to sign it too for the planning commission. And then the resolution is just essentially the board saying that it agrees to this application.
With your motion?
I would make a motion to accept the grant application. Sign
Do I hear a second?
That's it.
Any comments or questions by the board?
Thanks, Sarah.
All in favor? Any opposed?
it. Just one question. It's a little late. Is there room to have local people involved in that group or to who actually participate
On the committee.
on the committee? Yeah.
That is the way it was worded in
Yeah.
That's the way it was voted on.
yes. So that would be a requirement.
Oh, good. Even better.
We'll keep up the board.
So motion carried.
Give you your opinion.
Did someone second it?
Yeah, Mark, or Val
No.
did. Val second. Mark made it, Val second. Yeah, it was worded that way when it was voted on both village and town, I believe.
Yes.
That community members would be involved on the community,
Right.
or on the committee, I should say.
The last time this was tried was 1985 with Michael Sampson.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. And the town did
Change
vote
could be
against it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing I got on there is I think maybe we've already discussed this, that Sarah applied to do a energy resilience study for this building and
There's 4 for the town. Yep.
The Stonebridge, this building, this library, and
The library. The senior center, the
Oh,
town garage. That's okay. But we
I don't know why I
did,
have it on there. Why do I have it on there?
because we're working together on it.
Senior center.
I know, but was there something we gotta sign?
There's a memorandum of agreement that we need to sign, essentially saying that the town will, support the, evaluator. And I think they're moving pretty quickly on this. So I think even before the next select board meeting that we will hear so let me back up. This is being overseen by the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. And we will hear from the building engineer who will be coming out to review these locations. Probably before the next select board meeting, they will be at one of these sites. If I can, we're going to start with the town garage, but there may be some people in your workspace. We need to inform anyone who's in these buildings that this is happening. It's not a level 1 assessment, which was a much more thorough, like comprehensive assessment with you needed a lot of background material that we didn't have, lighting plans and, structural drawings and that type of thing. But so essentially, we will be going to those 4 locations, either Paul or I, with this engineer in the next 4 weeks, and we will give you as much of a heads up as we can about when they'll be here, particularly for the town office. That could be a little disruptive.
That's good. At least we're starting the ball rolling,
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, Sarah. That's great.
especially on the town garage, because that's the biggest project. It's going to be the most costly. We may have to end up doing something that I don't like to do, pay taxes on or on interest on a bond. But we may have to take a bond out. See what happens.
So the next note I got on here is the brick grant for the rail trail, Trestle Bridge flooding study. Our engineer has finally put together the RFP to look for, engineering firms to bid on the assessment. So I need to circulate that out to get that ball rolling. I know it was brought up at my village trustees meeting, our last meeting last week. So it's on a lot of people's minds. So I just want to make a note on there that it's going to be out there and looking for bidders on that project.
It's going to be a while before that gets underway, isn't it?
I don't think so. It'd be interesting to see what the study says and whether or not that has any legs. So that's the part I'm curious about.
I would just that last ice dam kind of made my hair whiter.
I know what the state had asked for comments on the South Street Bridge project in the middle of October. As you know, we hadn't had a meeting since then, so I don't know if I'd circulated those plans to you folks. I don't know if there's any comments that you want me to relay to the state.
I think it looked good. I think it looked good. It's a good plan.
Pretty technical.
Yeah.
That's what
It's like a bridge.
I mean,
over my head.
it's going to come a little close to the sergeant's pool, but it's very temporary. The temporary bridge, but it's temporary and it's only for
Put everything back the way it was.
2 years.
back the way it
It's not-
was.
Yeah.
2
It's not
years.
there forever.
2 years, 2 contracting years, 2 construction.
Okay, so I'll let the state know that.
Thank you, Paul.
I've got next on there, I mentioned this briefly at our last select board meeting on September 25th, I guess it was. It brought to my attention on September 25th that there had been some vandalism of racist and anti-Semitic nature that was on the rail trail.
On a sign.
I'm sorry.
On a sign.
On a sign, yeah, someone had spray painted a sign. As for the protocol, that afternoon I emailed my counterpart at the State of Vermont Agency of Transportation who takes care of the rail trail. And he emailed me on the morning of the 4 something o'clock in the morning on the 27th to say that he had addressed it on September 26th. He did state that the sign, there was 2 signs apparently that were vandalized. One was the stop sign that just had some, I don't know what you would call it, just like some squiggly marks or something. And he cleaned that up, but the other sign that had the racist and anti-Semitic language had been removed by, I don't know, unknown persons, I guess, unknown person. I received a letter last Friday from the Vermont Human Rights Commission that I spoke with the executive director of that entity this afternoon, because there was some information in that letter that stated that I had not done anything about it, and I corrected the executive director and said that, unless there's more vandalism that I'm unaware of, that had been taken care of, or at least they had attempted to take care of it, because as I stated, the graffiti in question has been removed by somebody. I know we talked recently at a select board meeting that the town of Poultney had signed the Declaration of Inclusion in December of 2021, which states that the town of Poultney condemns racism and welcomes all persons regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender identity or expression, age, or disability, and will protect these classes to the full extent of the law. As a town, we formally condemn discrimination in all of its forms and commit to fair and equal treatment of everyone in our community. And it also further says the town of Poultney has and will continue to be a place where individuals can live freely and express their opinions. I did take some issue with the letter from the Human Rights Council because it completely contradicted, alleged that the town was standing by racism and other symbols of anti-Semitic symbols. And I firmly discussed it with the executive director and said that that was not the case whatsoever. And it completely is against what the Declaration of Inclusion says. So just want to put that on the record.
I read it and I was really kind of appalled to have someone from the human rights write a letter like this without knowing any of the facts. That what we went through and to say for the town of Poultney and the Selectboard how they name the things that we did or didn't do and ridicule us when they know nothing about what we did and what happened. We don't even have a sign but a picture, and we did what we were supposed to do. So I went on the record that upsets me when I read this, that, wow, you're blaming the town and this, and you're ridiculing, saying all these horrible things about something the town did when we followed protocol and exactly what we had to do. So I find that awful. But that's the case.
I'm pretty upset with it also,
Yeah.
very extremely upset with the letter, but we did take care of the situation within 24 hours of when we found out about it.
Well, I mean, I just want to stress that again. I it was brought to my attention. I brought it to the attention of the state of Vermont, and I think this is, indicative of the Rail Trail Council that the DNH and the state is trying to put together. And I don't know if the intention is to sort of shift some of the responsibilities for the rail trail and in particular down to the town. But I've been instructed that there's issues that come up on the rail trail because there's been other issues, whether it be gate issues, whether it be trees down or trees about to be down on the rail trail, that I'm to direct those inquiries to the Agency of Transportation. So that's what I did. But again, taken care of because it was gone. They did take care of some of the vandalism, but my contact at the state did email me and said I took care of it yesterday, but I don't know if I would characterize that as racism, but he didn't see what was actually racist and anti-Semitic because it was already gone.
Of course,
Fast
within a
response.
matter of hours.
So I just don't want it to be misconstrued that we took care of the sign itself because someone else took care of the sign.
And it says in the letter, it took several weeks, and that is absolutely false.
We have to have, it's not truly ours to do. We have to make the call and let the state know.
It's a state property.
So that's part of it. And we did it in a very, very timely manner.
But
So,
But it sounds like this executive director and legal counsel was, to me, misled.
I don't know. Like I said, I spoke to them and they advised that, that was the information that was provided to them.
Okay.
Is there any pictures of this?
there's only pictures on social media, I'm told. The one
I
that
don't
he,
get on
the
social
one he
media.
did, the one that, no, Sarah sent to you, right? There was a picture that Sarah sent to you. So we could see the red and know that he said when he came, he just sprayed it and wiped the red off, correct?
No,
That's a mistake.
the person at AOT, took a picture of the one back of a stop sign that was just a red, I don't know what it was. It was just like,
He was able to clean it off,
yes, he was.
right? But the other sign was not there, so we couldn't
Correct.
see it or.
Okay,
So
all
I
right.
don't know, I see someone's got something in the chat.
Something, is their hand up?
I can put it in the chat. It says, Alex, do you have something to say? Oh, the image?
I'm just trying to figure out a way to
Can't hear it.
put it in the chat if you want to see.
We can't hear you, Alex.
Alex, we can't hear you. What'd you say?
Chat's coming. Trying to figure out how to put it in the chat.
I think on the bottom.
Oh.
I just, on the security, Alex, I just did let people share their screen. So that might help.
I shouldn't go back.
Not on my computer. I mean, suffice to say, it was certainly racist in nature. It was the N-word. It was swastikas. And I think it said KKK on it.
A little figure.
Let's hope it doesn't happen again.
But they're not going to replace the sign, they said.
It's taken to close.
I asked the gentleman from the state, and he said he didn't. At this time they weren't intending on replacing the signs, and it was signs that I think they said something about no motorized vehicles.
Yeah, points or something else.
Okay.
I have a picture that you're looking for.
I don't
Yeah.
even,
You don't want to see it?
the person in my extended family actually survived the Holocaust, and I don't need to see that.
I do think it's worth noting, and I know, Sarah, you've had some conversations with some folks that the select board doesn't regularly check social media. While we do have a Facebook account, it was set up by Sarah's office more for economic development type situations. In our budget discussions, I will be bringing to the board a proposal to do these computer things.
The big website.
We're working on the website, but also there's a couple of entities that have approached me where people can register to say, hey, if there's some information that you need to get out,
Right.
you enroll, and then it gets texted or emailed or whatever, texted to your cell phone. So, because again, we are working on the website and because there's some folks that say, well, how come all this stuff's not on your website? And if anyone's been to our website, it's quite dated and it needs quite an overhaul.
Do we need a consultant or anybody to help us on that?
We've drafted an RFP. We have a proposal from the consultant that built the new Poultney Recreation website, which was funded through VORAC. Going forward, it will not be funded through VORAC, so we do need to resolve that situation that there's more than one website for the town. But there is an RFP that we've put together. We haven't issued it. It's not quite ready. I think I need some other eyes on it before I'm comfortable, or either Paul or I, to issue it and to get proposals back. But the draft is ready, and we do have a proposal that was not requested from that website developer.
Okay. That's something we're gonna need to put in our budget to sustain as we go forward. Okay.
But there is a local person that may be interested in fulfilling the RFP. Jonathan, would that be you?
Yeah, well, what I was prepared to offer tonight was to take a look at the site as it currently exists and to attempt to optimize and kind of streamline what it provides, because if we strip it back to the very basics of what people are needing from that website, we might be able to use what's already in place long enough to gather the needs for the actual site proposed, or the proposed site, and then to be able to put it out to various people and to make sure they have budget money for it and whatnot. That would require someone to spend a little bit of time with me, giving some access to the back end of the site. I currently manage a site that gets a couple million hits per year for a company out of Ohio, and I've been doing this for a couple of years. So I do feel like unless there's something super duper special about this particular platform that is being operated on, I'd be able to make it so at the very least there's an announcements page that is easy to update, and then you would have somebody that could actually do the updates as long as information is in place. And then from there, it would just be a matter of what does the town need and whether or not I'd be able to provide it.
So maybe you could talk to Sarah.
We could talk after. We have kind of been through this exercise a couple of times over the past few years and have determined that the platform that the current website is on is not functional, and we will be moving away from it. But yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you a little bit more about what we know so far. And
even if we could just get a simple page web app that is just an updatable blog posts where it's something super simple, manages to stay legal, but it's something, for whatever the law requirements are of the town website to have, that also becomes that point of like that single source of truth. And there's a or why we're raising the budget, just as a form of communication.
sure, I'd be happy to talk with you about it.
Council had to do that with the lockdown, so that's good to have something up there, so at least someone with like the oil spill or a lockdown and things like that, it's,
If you do need help, with super duper stuff, I know consultants that are in New Hampshire that this is what they build. If you need it.
Alex made a note here. I tried to share here, but I don't think it worked. You can click this link and share it through google.com stuff. I'm happy to, if people want the board, I can circulate the photo of that sign that we're talking about after the meeting.
Yep. I have a hard time with swastikas. I could say.
You ask why I can't show it on the screen. I just don't know how to do that. I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I would have to log in. I don't know.
All right.
We don't know what to do.
Okay. Let's on the status on town-owned property on Finel Hollow Road.
I've been asked about, the board may remember, there's a town-owned property on Finel Hollow Road that Maureen LeBate had inquired about. Someone was looking for an update on that. I've asked a realtor as I was directed by this board. I've asked a realtor to look at it and give me their opinion as to the value. And once I get that opinion, I will share it with the board, and the board can make its decision in discussions with Maureen LeBate on whether or not they can come to some sort of agreement, if anything, for the transfer of that property. If the board does come to a meeting of the minds with that person, statutorily, the board has to notice the public that it is agreed to transfer for money or otherwise a piece of property to Maureen LeBate, and that notice gives voters of the town of Poultney the right to petition to force a vote on that proposed transfer. So
We've been through this.
we've been through this before, and I just want to put it on the record because some people, I think it's just an easy,
Right.
instant thing that happens, and there's a process that has to be followed. So,
So it doesn't go out to bid, it goes out, and anybody that wants it.
I mean, as I've stated to some people, I mean, the board could say, well, we think this is a piece of property other people might want. Let's give it a realtor to sell it. Let's send it to an auction. It's really up to the board. But first and foremost, I think the board instructed me to get an evaluation, and that's what I'm waiting to hear from the realtor.
Would it be possible, do you think, to have that back before the next meeting?
I can speak with the realtor that I've engaged to do it. I can't speak for them as far as their timeline, but I could try.
Okay, that'd just be one more thing we could clean up, get done.
It is in the floodplain. I verified that. It's on the map. So.
That's right, I think it abuts LeBate's property, correct?
Correct.
Property.
That's why they're interested in it, but we have to follow
Right.
protocol.
That would come to own it.
Tax
Tax
sale
sale.
back in 2007, I think,
So 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
For a while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's good to get it back up there.
Another little thing we can clean up.
Outside, if the town wanted to put a dry hydrant there, that's the only really thing else that could be. Right, it can't be, it is wetland, it's definitely.
Okay. Okay.
I do have a note on here that I think from our last, getting confused, maybe it wasn't the last meeting, but the meeting before, there was some discussion that was brought to the table by Constable Kerber regarding the sheriff's coverage and questioning what that coverage may look like in the future. I did have a meeting, Jeff King and I had a meeting with the sheriff the next day. And while the deputy that had been assigned to Poultney did leave the employee of the Rutland County Sheriff's Department, the 2 sergeants that are on the staff are covering Poultney. I have been getting the schedule of coverage. I'm hesitant to share it just so people, so there's the unexpected of one they may be here. But we have continued to receive coverage from the Sheriff's Department because I know it was questioned recently.
Okay.
There's quite a few properties in town regarding barking dogs. The town does have an ordinance, and I just wanted to put it on the record that the ordinance allows for if dog or dogs are barking continuously for more than 15 minutes, the ordinance allows for municipal fines to be issued against the owners of the dogs. I think some people hope or think that the ordinance gives me more authority to deal with barking dogs, but I just wanted to put it out there that until the select board changes the ordinance, the way I read the ordinance, it's municipal fines. I had been dealing with the former deputy Ricketts, who was here for the sheriff's department. He had issued at least one, according to them, municipal fines. And I have it on my schedule to speak with the two sergeants that are covering Poultney now to visit. We're talking about 2 or 3 households with this issue. And I know people think it's not getting attention, but and even when I email folks like this is what I'm doing, it's not satisfactory. But I'm doing what I can do in accordance with our ordinance. So I wanted to put it out there for the world to know that the ordinance doesn't give me the option to seize dogs or for that issue, for continuous barking. But it's enough that has to be on the agenda so that it's stated clearly what's been going on.
Animal control is sometimes difficult.
But it does change if it's neglect or something else, right? But we don't, right now, we don't have the power, we don't have a pound, we don't have a place to say, okay, you're doing something for your dogs, you're not taking care of them, we can't go get them and bring them somewhere.
Well, I mean, you bring up neglect. In the one household that I'm thinking of regarding the barking dogs, recently it was alleged all these dogs are neglected and abused. I think that was last week. Someone had emailed me. I do investigate those when I have the time and ability. In the past, I have had someone from the Rutland County Humane Society visit properties with me, and I have personally visited allegations of neglected animals and used my best judgment on what I see, whether or not I think there's neglect. Listen, I know it's a frustrating thing, and in some of my dealings with different agencies in the state, there's different levels of what people think might be neglect. One person might think the dog's being neglected because the toenails aren't clipped, and someone else might think that's not neglect. Usually I try to use my best judgment on eyeballing the dog, and there's been times when I've gone to people and said, just show me your dog so that I can say I looked at your dog, or I'll just come back here with some other authority. I haven't had time to look at these dogs in question yet, because as I stated, it was just brought to my attention at the end of last week that now there's allegations of neglect or abuse. So she ran away. She didn't want to.
Yeah, she had somebody call on. The only other thing too with the dogs is we have a lot of cats. So,
I was just going to bring that up. There are a lot of stray cats, and believe it or not, that I've spoken with some of the folks that allegedly are harboring stray cats and feeding stray cats, and disgruntled neighbors, and some neighbors have offered to, if I trap this stray cat, will Paul bring it to the Humane Society, and I have said I will.
Look what just happened with did you say that what happened with the Poultney town vets?
Oh, yeah, well, that's apparently the vet in town has customarily, if someone brings a cat and says, oh, this cat was run over and look at it, it's hurt really badly, the vet will euthanize it. And apparently the service that cremates the euthanized cats would cremate them for no fee. And I've been advised that that company has changed hands, and now they have a policy where they charge $65 per cat. And so Poultney Vet has advised me that they're going to start sending me the bill for the $65. And they take people's words that, oh, this cat came from Poultney.
That's not going to happen.
It's either that or they bring me the deceased cat that I have to bury somewhere.
But, we didn't turn it in. So how is that our
I
problem?
don't think we need to get into it.
Yeah,
right now,
yeah, we
but-
can discuss that at another time. I just don't understand the rationality of that.
They don't want the town overrun,
No,
lame people.
but some people can trap those cats and we can kind of maybe take them to the,
I mean, I have personally, with the assistance of someone in town, I mean, the most cats I've taken out of one house is 28 cats.
wow.
And there was many more to go, but they sort of, when I scolded them, they sort of said, I'm not calling you ever again. So it's not, it's not uncommon that my job entails bringing cats and animals and
Yeah,
dogs and
town manager, we
even a rat once.
we need, we need to also budget for a animal control person.
But we also don't have a spot, so we're saying, like, some of these people, because I get some texts, there's no place, if the dogs are barking, it is hard, because I lived through that too, but there's no place to take them. We don't have a pound, we don't have a place. You can't leave it in your truck overnight. We don't have
I've
a-
housed animals in my garage.
I know.
Um,
We don't
So,
have a
I mean,
place to,
We're getting into a discussion.
right, right. But that's a big thing people need to know. We don't have that capability to go pick up 7 dogs and put them. We'd have to figure out, hire someone, pay someone. So that's a whole other thing budget-wise that we'll have to talk about if it becomes a big issue with
Yeah.
dogs.
Well, it
cats,
is
and
becoming
animals.
an issue,
Right.
dogs and cats. We're gonna have to
Right.
talk about it in budgeting.
It's gonna be
Well,
a
it's
budget.
been an issue. It's always been an issue.
Right.
But now it's time to do something.
Someone just made a comment. Has the board seen the photo of the sign that was being previously discussed? Someone in the room offered to show it to the select board members. They have it on their phone. And I'm the one that offered to show it to the board. But I'm not gonna show it to you right now.
But just verify, it's been verified.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you what the comment said.
Okay,
The chat, whatever you want to call it.
okay, move on. Anything else, Paul?
No, that's it for now.
Anybody have questions for Paul?
How's your day going?
It's great. It's good Monday.
Okay, Transact and the other Lawful Select Board business. Don't know if we need to right now. Rutland Regional Planning Commission?
Yes, so the last Board of Commissioners meeting was held on October 17th. See, there was a review of the regional plan, which is going to be rewritten over the next year and a half, I think it is, and the future land use mapping project that the RPC, actually all of the RPCs in the state of Vermont are undertaking. Essentially, we just looked at the draft, and Devin provided an overview of the different types of land uses that were illustrated on the map. So that was a draft that was presented to the commissioners. There wasn't any action taken. There was a letter that was written by the executive committee regarding the Vermont State University Optimization 2.0. That restructuring policy, sorry, it's not policy, it's a draft plan that includes moving the Castleton Fine Arts program and the graphic design program to other campuses. I think the fine arts program was slated to go to Linden, and the graphic design program is being proposed as going to Johnson. So those two programs are doing quite well at Castleton. And the way that the proposal is written is that essentially it would shore up the other two universities, and they're kind of hoping that it will improve enrollment. So the Regional Planning Commission drafted a letter of opposition, as well as several other. I know Rutland has come out in opposition, and actually I wrote a letter today in my capacity as Community Development Director for the town of Poultney opposing that. We were asked to weigh in on that from the graphic design program at Castleton, which has provided a lot of pro bono and volunteer work to the town of Poultney over the past 2.5, 3 years. So the letter that I wrote included some of the mention of those projects that they were involved in, also a little bit of a perspective on regional identity, which was one of the criteria that they used to determine that these programs might be better off someplace else, and just a little bit of a statement in, from my perspective, doing community and economic development in the region for the past 3 years.
Who decides that? Just, they don't vote, or is it just the executive directors that?
They have a consulting
decide?
firm, RPK Consulting. They also have an interim president for Vermont State University right now, who will be leaving the 1st of November.
It's going to take a lot out of our community.
Yeah,
You don't want to
so
close the other schools.
it's not,
so it's-
I know,
That's the problem.
still,
yeah, and they were seeking responses from the community. The regional board of commissioners had a pretty authoritative stance, of opposition as well. Rutland City has seen a lot of support from both of those programs, and there started to be a lot of talk about creative sector in Rutland City and some of the surrounding areas. It was nice to see that and to be able to support it. Unfortunately, not in this way. But so the letter was presented to the Regional Board of Commissioners, and it was approved unanimously to be sent on. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the wrong agenda. The TAC, the Transportation Advisory Committee, the last meeting that I attended was September 28th, where Representative Butch Shaw of Pittsford provided a legislative update. It was a little while ago, and I don't. Most of what I recall about that meeting was there are a lot of transportation projects, and there is a long pipeline for transportation projects. Just a lot. There's workforce. There's issues still with obtaining materials and supplies and that sort of thing. So transportation projects are there's a long line for that type of thing. There is another meeting this Thursday where I believe the agenda is covering transportation resiliency.
is there a timeline on the Rutland Regional Review Plan?
The regional plan?
The regional plan, is that time sensitive, like so many years it has to be revamped?
Oh, yes, it is. I think it is every 8 years or so.
So we must be coming up on that.
Yes. I know that they're doing a retreat. The RPC has organized a retreat with, the RPC has a lot of new employees.
They're in the retreat.
I think they're up to what, 11 or 12? 11 or 12 planners now. So they are organizing a retreat to start to tackle the regional plan.
Okay. Yeah, that must be coming up real soon then.
Yeah, and they did say there will be many opportunities. They're looking for members of the regional commission and other committees to weigh in on the regional plan, but there will be a lot of public engagement. It's a requirement of that plan update over the next year and a half.
Okay.
So we'll look for that too.
Thank you.
So,
All right, public comments and concerns. There's one, I was gonna say, you emailed me? No? No, you were not one with a little presentation tonight?
No. My name is John McKenna. I'm the treasurer for the Rutland area branch of the NAACP.
Oh, okay.
I came to talk to you a little bit about the racist symbols and whatnot on the rail trail. And what I was planning on saying is actually changed quite a bit, because after hearing your report and what's actually happened, I do want to actually commend you for kind of following the premise behind the declaration of inclusion that you signed, and for taking the quick action that you did, contacting the state, given that it's their property and all that. The only other thing that is going to remain consistent is I just want to let folks know that if you think this is an isolated incident in this area, it really isn't. The NAACP, our chapter, has reported numerous incidents of racism, racist graffiti, white supremacist paraphernalia, stickers being placed all over the place, including downtown Rutland, along Center and Merchants Row, shortly after the Pride event that they had over the summer, and in front of several BIPOC-owned businesses in that area. Quick Google search of news, local news, you'll find articles from WCAX of racist language at numerous high school sporting events, including some in our area. You'll find U.S. News and World Report, the story of off-duty state troopers using racist and homophobic language while on a video game. You'll see Vermont Racial Justice Alliance, the U.S. Justice Department has all kinds of statistics that say BIPOC adults face higher unemployment, lower median income, lower homeownership rates based on their percentage of the population versus the white folks that live here. You'll find 7 Days, Vermont Digger. BIPOC high school students face disproportionate suspension lengths for similar violations, racist bullying and taunts. The Patriot Front stickers I mentioned before downtown. And this is a number of years ago, but I was actually at a 6th grade basketball game when my son, who graduated from high school last year, was in 6th grade, Clarendon versus Poultney, and a Poultney player called one of the Clarendon players the N-word right in front of the coaches' benches and the scorekeeper, who happened to be the young man's father. So it happens. It happens in every community. It happens in our communities. And I just want people to not try to sort of put this off as a single incident. This is the sort of thing that happens all the time in all of our communities. And if left unchecked, it fosters an environment that is completely contrary to what's listed in that Declaration of Inclusion. And it's not something that that's a one and done. It's something that you have to be vigilant for. It's something that you have to address every time and try to get to the root causes of it and try to keep it from happening again. But I am very happy to see that you did take action and you did address the incident that you had in a fairly expeditious manner.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns? Yes.
I have a quick question. Is there anything you can help them with in that nasty letter that they got from whoever it was? Is there anything that you guys can help them with? Because from what I heard, that letter is completely wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't stated the NAACP had any.
I know.
Okay.
Help them answer that.
I mean, I wouldn't,
Misinformation.
if I may, I wouldn't classify it as a nasty letter. I would say it was perhaps misinformed. And I've spoken to the executive director and drew their attention to the fact of what happened as far as what I did in the timeline that I did it. I think it's just indicative of, it's a heated topic, just as John said. It's not an isolated incident, and I think people, are passionate about combating these things. So I chalk it up to maybe a miscommunication between that organization and whoever was informing them, and it is what it is, but I wouldn't call it a nasty letter. I think it was just, it was a passionate letter. But rude.
If they'd been correct, then it wouldn't have been all that nasty. It would have been accurate, but it wasn't. So, I mean, if they had been right, they were misinformed. But if they'd been right, then the tone was probably appropriate. But they weren't right. They weren't right. But if they were right,
you're owed an apology.
But I think that we need to work together, and I think it's by sending a nasty letter, whatever, we're trying to do the best we can. Like Rutland and all these other places too. I get that happens, and I've been a coach for many years, so I think that we're all trying to do. Most of us are trying to do what's right. I think we have to work together, and that was just, we got it without any justification. All of a sudden, it's in your face that you're wrong and blaming us. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What did we personally do as we did what we were supposed to do? So that's kind of hurtful for us as a town and as a select board member. So that's how I take it. But I think we are trying to do. We know that you look at the news every night and you just want to cry because it's not just here, but when you get a killing in Castleton, you're like, oh my God, what happened to our little town? So I think all of us know that, and it's scary. on top of everything else. But I think we just all have to work together and make sure that, yeah, we get through it, but we have to support each other. So I think that's what we try to do.
Well, I worry about my grandchildren every day.
To
Right.
find out what your side is before writing a
Right.
letter.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, but thank you.
Other than that, we do try and work to that letter that we have signed.
Which is not on the website, by the way, because I tried to find out.
Well, our website's,
But I heard you're working on that.
that's a different matter.
The bigger fish to fry.
Hopefully soon to be resolved, yes.
I reached out to, as a private citizen, support the request to go to the 14th. I think that's those folks do for us, and hours that I have no interest in being away. We should do everything in our power to find. I'm sure the select board has already intended to do this, so this is by no means anything other than just letting my voice to the chorus. But just let's see if we can find a way to give them precisely what they ask for, because they certainly give us what we need on the regular.
Yeah, we will study that. That's something you just don't go, oh, okay, because it could be ramifications to taxpayers.
100%. Appreciate you all
Yeah, we gotta-
for our best interest. I just wanted to put it out there that
Yeah.
if public perception lead into the argument, then as one member of the public, I strongly encourage that they get anything that they want, quite frankly.
Don't say that.
Guys, they won't answer. I'm not apologizing.
Cool, thinking 24 on. 24 on.
Jonathan, we will be looking at that.
Cheers.
Because it is budgeting season, and that's gonna see if it affects it. Carol?
Just one quick question. As you know, the town clerk's office gets a lot of the generalized questions from the public. We know this is 3 weeks away. Do you know if the transfer station will be closed on Saturday, November 11th, which is Veterans Day?
Oh, that's right.
Should be.
It should be.
It should
We
be.
just want to be prepared when the questions come in.
Didn't we,
Yeah.
November 11th, Veterans Day.
See, for the employees, we're closed on Friday because that's when the federal holiday for municipalities, banks is.
That, we'll have to look, yes.
We need to make a decision whether to pay them that should be.
Well, I think
Carol, that's 3 weeks away, isn't it?
Yes,
So we have one more meeting before that.
which is the 9th.
yeah, that's too late.
Sorry.
United States.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess
we
there's
discussed
something
it
else on my mind.
No, it'd be the
No, it'd
13th.
actually be the week
You
after.
wouldn't
Is
have,
it in our, is it in the Veterans handbook that they have Veterans Day off? Is it in the, Carol's in the handbook that keeps the Veterans Day off?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, so I don't think it's a no-brainer. So I should give them, we make sure everybody's notified way ahead of time that it won't be open on Saturday.
We go to Friday?
They're open.
That's Good Friday.
Well, they get Friday off.
That's what he's saying, move it, instead of Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, not Saturday. Friday, the town has off Friday.
He'll just be busy on the following Tuesday. It should be closed on Veterans Day.
Why don't we ask the employee?
I think it states in the handbook it's closed on Veterans Day, that's Veterans Day. Above, like you guys are observed on Friday.
'Cause we won't have another meeting until after Veterans Day.
Be closed on Friday?
That's what your personnel policy says.
Yeah.
I'll go around the table. How do you feel about it? Close it? How do you feel about it?
I said close, I don't know what the, our handbook says, that it's closed on Veterans Day, but it's tricky. You guys are closed on Friday. They're closed on Friday and Saturday, that's Veterans Day, so I'm okay with closing it. We just gotta make sure people are notified that it would not be open on a Saturday. So I'll check that people off.
What,
Yeah, thank you.
am I supposed to sit at the gate all day?
Yes, you are, Paul. I'll make you a little sign. I'm sorry. No, we can put a sign up there this week saying that, don't forget the dump will be closed on Saturday.
Yeah, Dan can start promoting how do you feel about it?
I think we should find the money to keep for 1 to 2 people up if Danny wants to. But it's up to, it'd be up to him.
Close it.
What was it?
I mean, there has been other holidays that I don't remember which ones, but that they've worked and we've just paid them the holiday rate.
All right. I think it was Christmas Eve, wasn't it, Carol, once we worked?
I believe it was on Christmas Eve.
A lot of people only have Saturday to go to them. Workers, people work.
You want to talk to Dan? When
We
we
I
talk
think I should talk to Dan.
Let's talk to Dan first
Right,
and see what he thinks.
right.
We'll talk with Dan first, Carol. And if he's good with saying, let's close it, then we'll put a sign up here real quick
Okay.
and let people know. And if not, we'll just go along and it's a moot point.
to the website.
Okay?
Definitely.
But thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, because that's something.
Nobody's going anywhere.
we missed. Any other comments or questions? Mary?
I just want to reiterate the importance of communication to the public. For example, it would have been great to have it on the website or even announced at your September 25th meeting that you were not meeting on October 9th, which is Indigenous Peoples' Day. There's no calendar on the town website saying what all the holidays are, which would be great, like for the town clerk's department or the town manager's department. It would be great to have that so people would know. The other things that I'll just give you a couple of things that are out of date on the website. The Selectboard list is out of date. Government officials, federal government officials, out of date. The village office info is out of date. Summer recreation hasn't been updated since 2020.
They have their own website now.
So, you do? Okay, so maybe we just get rid of that section.
Mary Sue, we do know that. We've spent a lot of time. We do know
Yeah.
that we need a lot of work on it. So we know all those updates that you're talking about. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. But we do know that. That's what we're trying to work on. We just have not had time to do it.
Exactly, but
So, I appreciate you.
like I said, I just want to reiterate it, that it's very important for communication. And I know the board has pushed communication and transparency many times, and so you got to put your money where your mouth is.
Oh.
That's all I appreciate. I would appreciate that.
Oh, be careful.
But what I'm saying is, I brought it up because nothing's been happening. That's why I bring it up, okay?
Bring it up, but the sarcasm needs to be left at
Exactly,
home.
but.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Challenged, so I'm just letting you know, as a citizen and taxpayer,
We'll listen to you, but I will not listen to sarcasm.
I'm not being sarcastic.
Yes, you were.
No,
In my
I'm not.
opinion, you were.
Don't tell me how I'm talking.
Don't be.
Appreciate
Mr. King.
All right, let's move on.
Yep.
Any other comments or concerns? All right, at this time, do I hear a motion to sign the board orders?
Yes.
I do have one question about paving. So the paving, it said 109 something, and then we only paid 108. Did we get under, the bid was
It
like
was less
109?
material than what they had estimated.
Oh, so it came in under bid. That was good. But that was last year's paving, correct?
Yes, that was,
No, that's
because
what-
they used 30 tons less
Okay.
than they had projected that they were going to use.
Oh, because I looked at it, I'm like, wow, how did that come out under bid? That was good. And I talked to Sarah about the grant, the that grant, so we had that conversation today. But
It's nice to see something going in a good direction.
I know, I was like surprised, like, is that a typo? Like, we came in under bid?
Make a motion.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you very much. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Thank you for listening to us.
Do I hear a second on the board orders? Any comments or questions by the board? All in favor? Yeah. That motion is approved for signing the order. Right, now we need to go into executive session for personnel matters and contract matter. No contract matter, just, we do need to go into personnel matters. Well, Dale, I know you got these executive session.
This is all.
I'm sorry.
Someone second the motion.